And we're back. What's going on, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm chilling, man. I am chilling in the streets during these times. There's nothing else I really can do, you know?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me.
Mm-mm-mm.
What's your thoughts on going back to school in the fall?
So my thought is this. I think that one, education should have never stopped. And although school is closed doesn't mean that the knowledge stops. And I think that going back to school, we should go back to school, but not physically yet. That is my opinion. I understand, and I really understand that there are a lot of inequities that come about where folks cannot get to school. And because they're not at school, they don't have access to certain resources that they will only have at school. And if we are to explore these hybrid models, et cetera, where there's going to be some time and space for folks to go to school or some folks to go to school while others stay at home, there are still some questions I have because an open school doesn't mean an accessible one. Open school doesn't mean everyone has access to it. And if you relied on public transportation, or if you relied on the school bus, or if you relied on something else, whether it's a carpool, et cetera, we don't know if those things are going to line up in order for students to actually get to school. So while you might take all these necessary precautions to make it safe as possible to go to school, while you might take all these necessary precautions to make sure that you're doing school as usual to the certain extent that you can, is it going to be a space where folks actually are learning? Or is it going to be too much distractions in terms of having to do questionnaires, taking temperature, having to do X, Y, and Z, wear your mask, social distance, to a point where you might not really be able to learn, where you should just say, you know what, until this whole thing passed, we're online. Let's make sure we keep things as robust as possible, meet all the inequalities and inequities that we've discovered over these past few months, and make sure that we can provide that for you at home in a safe environment. And again, it raises the question of, we're at a problem, we're in a very, very, very problematic place if schools are the entities that people are looking towards to provide food. We're in a problematic place if schools are the places where people are looking to provide childcare, and that onus is not being placed on the organizations that employ parents. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about when it comes to opening school, because I get it. I get it. You need your kids out the house. You want them to go get an education. You don't have money for childcare, or you can't figure it out, whatever the case may be. But school is not that answer, nor should it be, in my opinion. I think we really need to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves those tough questions about who should be shouldering the burden to make sure that these issues are being addressed, and to make sure that we're not just relying on the school system to do X, Y, and Z and be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, there's so much to consider. Socialization of children, all those things are right there and really rampant and intense. It's a heavy conversation.
Yeah, there's so many layers, so many layers, so many layers. I just tell you, it would feel better if I thought or felt or had any type of evidence that the people who were in charge, the folks who are at the top level of leadership, actually gave a damn about us. Maybe I'd have a little bit more, faith or optimism, but that's not the case.
Bessie DeVos needs to go sit down.
Oh, there's a lot of places she need to go.
Yeah, right. It's really frightening to think about. We need, at this level, with all that's happening, we need strong, deeply rooted, clever, clear leadership on a federal level that can put us all on the same page to fix this problem that is COVID-19. And we don't have that. We have this state doing this state doing that, this group doing that, this mayor called for that, this governor called for that. And then the folks up top just wilding out and like being totally disconnected. And it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's accelerating the problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's time for a revolution, and maybe an educational revolution. I think that there's so much we can do to take advantage of being online in certain spaces to make sure that we can get even more education in a lot of different ways to those folks who probably didn't have a quality education before. I think there's ways we can do that. Yes, the socialization piece is important, the opportunities to really engage with folks. That's an important piece that might be missing if you don't get a chance to go back into the schoolhouse. But think about the things that you might be also missing by not going back to the schoolhouse.
Right.
Maybe microaggressions go down in some ways. Maybe racism and systemic places of oppression, etc., go differently. You know, things might change a little bit. Maybe I actually have access, or maybe I'm actually being seen, being heard, being listened to, or maybe my whole being, where I come from, my way of life is now being considered and added and included into the curriculum and discussion because you have to literally see me in my space at my home. So there's a lot of things.
I can't wait to see what. I was thinking about this when I was watching some news report, and there was a guy talking about the problem with our leadership in the country, and you know, he was on Zoom or some sort of digital platform, and it was like pause. You know that when you talk and there was really like if music was really fast or does that stuff. I was thinking, are we going to be in spaces where we're talking to people and it's going to feel weird for someone just to talk regularly to us? We have to relearn how to be across the table from one another and have conversations. Like that's a major change.
I think so, because now you know, we've talked about this before. You go out to the supermarket, you look.
Right, totally.
Making sure it's like, wait, hold up. Wait, well, hold up. 6 feet.
Right.
You got all this stuff going on. And then, you know, there's plenty of times like me as an introvert too, you know, I'm not really trying to talk to people during the quarantine if I don't have to. So I remember that whole moment of like, oh, now I'm in a meeting. Wow, let me find the words. Can I still speak? Like literally, because if I'm living up here, it comes out differently sometimes. And if I'm living up here, I'm not talking to anyone. So that cadence or my vernacular or the way that I usually speak when I'm by myself at home or with my people where I'm comfortable, I have to switch that now. I have to be cognizant of that now. So I think there's so many things we have to recalibrate as we enter these spaces again and actually care about the person who's across from us, not on the Zoom screen, but in person.
Yeah, it's a big one. Wow, we need a drink.
Word.
Word. We do. You got me racing.
Yeah. So what you want to do? Shirts first, or you want to do drink?
Let's do the shirts. What you got on? I feel like I see something.
See, to the untrained eye might just see this as a simple black V-neck. And in some cases it is. But if you look closer, this is a government cheese. Let's see if we get that in there. There we go. Beautiful. Government cheese right there. A nice little pin that I was blessed with by the good brother right here, you know. So, you know, I figured I'd put it on my V-neck. Now I turned it into a government cheese V-neck. What's good?
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know, that's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't get pinned, as I like to say. That's for the select few. So if you're watching, you don't have one, I apologize. You build that relationship. You may someday achieve that, but I don't just walk around giving that to everybody.
I love that, brother. I feel like I'm in a secret society.
Oh yeah.
Listen.
You a little late on your dues, but otherwise. I mean, you didn't know about them, but wow.
I love it. Speaking of love, brother, what you got on over there?
Oh yeah, you know I travel a lot, and this is one of my spots in Nashville, Tennessee.
Ooh.
Oh, biscuit love biscuits, love others. This little spot, this was a problem. This was downstairs from my hotel.
Oh.
You could smell the biscuits in the morning. Oh. They were so good. And they had biscuit, any kind of sandwich. You know, of course, now I always try, I'm like, I want to behave. I always get the fried chicken biscuit sandwich. Because it's so good. So, I'm like, I'm not home. So, but the thing is, I used to travel so much that I was like, this thing of like eating naughty when I'm not home doesn't work. Because I'm not home a lot. You know, but this little spot, Nashville, Tennessee, love biscuits. Whew. Man, I'm telling you, they had food. Whew. And of course, you get a sweet tea with everything. Yum. I miss traveling. Yeah, I miss being on the road.
I'm in a food coma just listening, brother. Like,
oh good.
Wow.
And those biscuits were good, and they were big flaky ones. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. You ever know? Here's something for you. You may not know this. I'm not gonna call the exact name, but you ever notice when you go to a place up here in the north, and have the Yankee biscuit, and it's always like hard as a scone. That's because there's a wheat that's used below the Mason-Dixon line that grows in that climate and in that soil that's used for making biscuits. That's why the biscuits are so fluffy down south, because it's a different wheat. It doesn't grow up here in the north. Some people import it up here to get it. Yeah, that's why the biscuits are so good down south.
Right, brother, you got the secret to biscuits?
Oh yeah, I had to find out because I was like, why does this taste like a rock? You know. Then you go like down south and say, oh, this is good. I mean, you get those Pillsbury ones. You pull out the can and do that. Oh, this is good. But well, let's have a drink before I start. I'm getting all hungry. What you got today?
You know, I'm rocking the government cheese, and I'm bringing back a bottle that you graced us with back in the day, during the channel, that is.
Ah, yes.
Crown. Isn't it cute too? They made a little crown impression on top. Look at
that. Magic.
Come on now. Need a little apple juice.
So that's beautiful, but I don't imagine you don't get a little bag with that. You get a little bag with that?
No.
That's all good.
I'm not official yet. I gotta earn my stripes.
Because with the apple, it's a little green bag.
Yes. So I gotta earn my stripes, brother.
That's all good. I respect it. I had to go back to the Wood Reserve, get my little wheat sweet space. Get up there.
Hey now. There we go.
Yum. Time to have some taste. Some tastes. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm a little too ready. That apple has a little taste to it. It's good.
It smells great. Listen.
I know, I was about to say, I can almost smell it. I can almost smell it.
The bowl of Apple Jacks right in front of me, brother.
It's a total bowl of Apple Jacks. Big boy Apple Jack bowl. Totally right in there. That's great.
Yes, sir.
What you want to toast to today?
Let's toast to Black excellence.
Yes.
Black excellence. You know, you got the government cheese. I'm feeling black and excellent, you know. They got the V-neck on for victory, you know. I'm feeling black and excellent. You over here talking about biscuits with special type of wheat.
Yeah. I got more biscuits after the toast. I got a little recipe for you.
Well, yep.
It's dangerous.
That too, good brother. Go to Black excellence, to you, to me, to the Brown Juice Barbershop.
Hey, cheers all around. Black excellence. Woo! Hello, Woodford Reserve.
That's juice.
Yeah, that's good. The Apple Jacks.
This is juice. You already know, brother.
The brown juice. Dancing around the room. So to continue the biscuit conversation, and I saw this, I can't lie, I haven't tried it yet because I'm a little nervous. I might like it too much. So you get those Pillsbury dough ones, you pop with the spoon and unravel it and cook them. You bake them for a little while. And then you take them out just as they're brown. My dude. Then you put like half a stick of butter in a pan and melt it. And then put them biscuits in and like flip them a few times. Right? Exactly. That's a one-time, that's a lifetime kind of thing.
See, brother, now I need to try that because, so when Amanda and I went to New Orleans, we went to this place called Little Dizzy's Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we had some biscuits there. Those biscuits were ridiculous. We also went to this place called the Ruby Slipper, which was right next to our hotel. We went to brunch maybe like 3 times. It was, oh my goodness. I'm just talking about it. I'm about the cat. Anyway, we went to Little Dizzy, had these biscuits. So what I've done is every time I made the Pillsbury Doughboy biscuits, the next day, if we didn't finish them, I would cut them in half, put some butter in a skillet, and like just brown them a little bit in the skillet.
There you go.
Hearing what you just said, good.
Oh, yeah. Woo! It's sinful. I was like, this is the devil tempting me. Like it needs to be enough butter where they're just like They get on the pan, they can't be still because there's so much butter they slide around. You know that moment, they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Oof. And the butter cooks into it because there's so much heat on the little frying pan. What? And the biscuits come out like crunchy, like, oh,
Beautiful. You know what I did one time with some biscuits?
what's that?
I made little mini pizzas.
Mm.
I took the Pillsbury biscuits, pressed them out a little bit, made a little bit of sauce on it, some cheese, had a little bit of meat left over from I don't know if we had like ground beef and pepperoni. I can't remember. But my goodness. Ooh.
This is
Trouble.
good.
Trouble.
Good.
Listen, bread is my kryptonite.
I know, bread is, because it's so good.
I eat bread. I drink bread. I mean, it's just like, you know, whether it's bare or brown, I drank it.
Right.
You got the wheat, you know, you got the barley. It's like,
Can't debate that.
absolutely.
Can't even debate it. That is a spot on truth. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I wanted to, now that I can't stop thinking about biscuits and I'm hungry now. What are ways that you have been coming forward in bolder, direct ways in response to this shift around discussions related to race, equity, and justice? Like, what are the ways? And I don't imagine you hold your tongue much, but what are the ways that you're just like, and I'm gonna say it now, instead of taking care of someone else's feelings or worrying about someone else's feelings or how they may respond to it, but boldly stating like your experience and truth.
I appreciate that question. I would say first, my go-to, which I always want people to understand, is that whenever I'm about to say something that's about to hit home, I want folks to know that it's coming from a place of love. I want them to know that love to me means accountability. And love to me is also another word for charity. And I believe that charity begins at home. So whenever I'm making a critique, I hope folks understand that I critique myself the same way. And I hold myself to the same standards. And I hope that if I'm not able to hold myself accountable, other people hold me accountable too. So I start there. Additionally, it's really about letting folks know I'm not specifically talking to individuals. It's more so about me having a conversation about institutions that individuals such as you and I and others are involved in, either voluntarily or involuntarily, either directly or indirectly. So once I establish all those things, I think I'm gonna say whatever I want to say, because I hope you understand it's rooted in love, and it's coming from a place where I expect myself to do the same things I'm calling for people to do. But I think more specifically in this time, I've given myself permission to somewhat go off the grid. And what I mean by that is I've always been here. In fact, it's my role and my position at my institution, and it's just who I am in my walk of life. However, I'm all about don't talk about it, be about it. And if we want to quote the Migos, walk it like I talk it. So I need some folks to stop talking and to start walking. And in order for me to allow folks to walk, I'm gonna get out the way. And that means that if there's a meeting where we're discussing things about what we need to do, if there's a meeting that's discussing about how we respond to certain spaces, I don't need to be there. Maybe you can make the argument that I should be there, or maybe you can make the argument that you need or want me to be there, but I won't be there, particularly if I'm not required to be. So I get out the way, particularly when there's adults involved. If students are involved, I want to be there to make sure that nothing gets crazy. I want to be that adult in the room to protect the students and work things out. But when there's adults, I'm gonna get out the way. Y'all work it out. Y'all figure it out. If you mess up, fix it. If you have an issue, talk it out. Work through it. I don't need to be here for all that nonsense. So I think the bold part, or the bold action that I'm taking now more so, is I don't need to be there. Because my thing is, in the grand scheme of things, actions speak louder than words. And sometimes people feel like they don't need to take the action because they're relying on the other person who's in the room. So they look towards them. They're like, we're good. I don't have to do anything, blah, blah. It's almost like if you're on a, let's just say you have a debate team and the best debater's there. Other folks are like, we good. I'm just going to play the background. But if that debater's gone, who's going to step up? Who's going to step up? Now you have to actually learn the protocol, the procedures, the actual parliamentary debate. Like you have to understand it, right? So I've been removing myself from certain spaces that I think my presence at those spaces would be helpful, but it also might be crippling, coddling, and prohibitive in certain spaces where folks are not really growing the way they need to grow. So if that's my long answer to such a complex question, I can give an even longer answer to, but I think most immediately that's what's coming up for me.
Interesting. I think your first part is basically, this is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me talk, which is necessary. I'm doing this because I love you. And I come from charity and concern for your well-being. Go get the switch, like seriously, which I think is appropriate. It's totally appropriate. I appreciate you sharing that and that perspective.
Yes, sir.
For sure. It's these things are hard to do, and they're shocking, because it's people actually listening, and it's I try not to get too excited about it. So I'm just like, you're doing what you're supposed to do. This isn't something exceptional that you actually listen to my perspective and understand my experience. I don't want it to be treated as like, wow, you did that. Thank you for doing that. No, I'm a human being, and my opinion, my experience, my interpretation is very valuable, and I want you to show up and respect it. So I've been finding myself in that space, just doing less to take care of the people who are on the receiving end of it. It's just been like, this is my experience with it. As you say, just stepping away, because I don't want to educate everybody. And that sounds crazy to say, but it's like, what am I getting out of this? What's in this for me?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm so excited you're studying this and want to learn about this and curious, but I'm not your Negro, James Baldwin said it. Like, I'm not the one that should be the vehicle and the service and the path for you to get to where you need to go. And I thought about a lot of people reach out, really, which I think was legitimate love and concern and care. And they came, and it was so giving tree, like, yo, let me get that branch. I'll be back. And now I'm like a stump, and like, yo, can I sit down? I'm tired. I'm like, sure. Have a seat. I'm here. And there's a moment of like, yo, I ain't trying to be chopped down. I want my tree to thrive. I want my tree to drop apples and plant some seeds. I'm not trying to be your whole giving tree. It's a beautiful story. I love that story. Shell Sylvia saying thank you. But I have noticed a few people coming hardcore and wanting a connection. And then they're gone, and that's it.
I'm like, that's real.
Feeling like sitting there like in my bra and panties, like what just happened? They walking out smiling like, I got it. You're sitting here like,
listen, that is real. That is so real. And just listening to you speak really affirms even more what I've been feeling in my spirit. And I was sharing this with Amanda, I think either the other day or whatever. I was quoting also what you shared with us a couple of times we talked before about, you said your mentor, Gloria Cotton, right? Who said, keep talking about anti. What are you pro? And for me, that resonated so much with me because, to be honest, to be like, if we're, like the kids say, if we were to keep it a buck, if we were to keep it 100 right now, like real rap, I'm not really interested. This is me speaking for myself and myself alone. I'm not really interested in teaching people or having a conversation with people about how to be anti-racist. I'm good off that. Me, I'm interested in talking about what it means and how to be pro-Black. That's me, because knowing what I know about framing and language and semantics, realizing that everybody doesn't come to the place at the same time in the same space with the same mindset or frame. Anti-racist to some folks may not mean anti-privilege, particularly white privilege. It may not mean anti-oppression in ways that don't look oppressive. It may not mean anti-whiteness. It may not mean any of those things. So for me, particularly also as a Christian, when I think about the least of these, I always think about who are the folks who are at the bottom. We also think about Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, right? Intersectionality. So if I'm thinking about what it means to be pro-Black, like we had our conversation before, being pro-Black is being anti-racist. And it's also being anti-whiteness, and it's also being anti-white privilege, and it's also being anti-oppression, discrimination, misogyny, etc. It's all those things. So when I say those things, I don't understand why a person who's really interested in being anti-racist could get upset with that or be confused by that. So I'm screaming being pro-Black, which means that I'm also pro-liberation for everybody. But the Cornel West, like he always says, I'm interested in starting on the chocolate side of town. Everybody should be free. Right. For me, speaking from the I perspective, my brother, I want to start on the chocolate side of town, knowing that if I start on the chocolate side of town, because usually the chocolate side of town is the most oppressed, marginalized, particularly when you factor in intersectionality, right? If I liberate that space, all other spaces will be liberated too. Yes, there's other work that we need to be doing, but I think starting there is not an issue. So that's where I'm at now. I'm really there. And there's sometimes, I think there's a book that I gave to one of my students. I didn't get a chance to read it myself. But the name of the book is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. I didn't get a chance to read it. I gave it to the sister because I'm like, listen, sister, I'm sure this book is going to move you to do whatever you need to do, because I've read about it, but I haven't read it. But that's really where I am in a lot of spaces. And yeah, I'll leave it there. That's where I am.
Yeah. Read that book. It's interesting.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad you gave it to that young sister, because it's an important message. I like that, a chocolate side of town. You know, I think that's part of the answer of making that clear without apology, because we've been trained to not communicate like that. That's offensive. That's racist. No. I'm just saying my people need something more, and this is what I feel comfortable with. And this is progress, and we'll all benefit from this. So hush, hush. We all gonna eat and grow. You know, all of us.
Absolutely.
I like that. What did you have a question before I jump in again?
No, brother, please. Have
you followed? This is one of our political representatives in the country, an elected official by the name of John Cotton, which I think is ironic, who's been pushing against the 1619 curriculum being included into schools.
Now, I haven't read up on that, and I haven't been following that piece. I laugh because, like, it's like, really. So when I think about what people push back against, when I think about what people try to strip away from schools, and this is one of it's not like I had an epiphany moment, but I was thinking about police brutality and thinking about all the lives that were lost due to police brutality. As you know, Amanda's finishing up her last year in med school soon, right? Taking tests and everything. She's doing a presentation talking about the maternal mortality rates and the inequities across the spectrum of people of color versus those who are white, right? And how people think that black folks, literally, people think that black folks' skin is literally thicker so they can't feel pain, right? When you think about the fact that the matter is that not only are people losing their lives to police brutality, but also losing their lives in the hospital, a place that's supposed to actually give you life and sustain yours and maintain it. They're losing their lives. They're giving birth or trying to give life, right? Then you think about the educational system as well, where, yes, we're no longer physically enslaved in a lot of different ways, but we are mentally enslaved in many different ways. So thinking about the destruction of Black bodies in those spaces. So I'm just thinking about all these things. But what we're not taught enough is what happened before slavery and why slavery is something that we need to be talking about. It's not the what. We know what the what is. The why is often looked over. So the 1619 Project, which a lot of people, whenever someone is so hell-bent on trying to stop something from happening, we have to always ask why.
Yes.
So I would be interested to know what his rationale is. I know what it is, but let's be real. These are the games that are played. Whenever people start to come into consciousness, whenever folks start to understand where they come from, who they are as a people, other folks want to get involved and say, you know what, this is what we need to do to make sure we bar this curriculum. We learn about other cultures. We learn about other struggles. We learn about other trials and tribulations. Why can't we talk about that? So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, some of his positions are that it is a desecration of a pure, good American history. It is a criminalization of the forefathers and the founders of this country that worked really hard. It shows lack of respect for them. Like, it's just, you listen to it and it's like, this is all BS. I'm glad he's come forward in a sense, so the world can look at it and go, wow, this is how they did it. This is, for me, I've had in my, and I love to maybe chart these some days. You know, when I first started studying, like, because I was a major in American history and African American history in college, which was a complicated mess because there was one teacher that taught it in the whole department, in the history department. And he went away my senior year. So I was on my own. So there's a discussion there. And I spent so much time when I really started digging into slavery and understanding the impact of it and the structure and the design. My mind went to, how did people let this happen? How did everyday people allow this to continue for some 400, 300, 200, one day, for years? How? Because it's just, like, I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how do they allow this to be? How did you live in New York and allow that to happen in the South? How did you live in the South and allow that to happen around the corner? You know? And the system itself was very well structured. I'm right now reading, and I had on my shelf, and finally get into it, Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, you know, and his whole presentation of he breaks down apartheid approaches and measures, and then tells a story about his life. And he basically talks about how, you know, when you teach children about racism and slavery and oppression of people, it sounds ridiculous because it is. Here's this guy stepping forward saying that the 1619 curriculum, which is like factual, granted, nothing's perfect, it's not 100%, but it's really taken apart and illustrating part of our American history. And Homeboy feels very comfortable using a job he's elected to by the people to take the position and say that we can't allow this into school curriculums because it's disruptive. You go sit down. Shut up. Have you read any of it? But that is the ultimate expression of the effort to keep white power and exercise white supremacy. Like, it's clear. Like, it's like, do not teach children that these people were unfairly brutalized and murdered and hurt and denied. teach them that these gentlemen were smart, intelligent, and wise leaders that designed programs to help build this country. Don't talk about that they owned slaves. Don't talk about the manipulation and the destruction of a people. That's unproductive in our academic sphere.
Mm.
Like John Cotton.
Mm. Talk about it. Talk about it. And that's the wild piece. And that's really wild because I know Chris Emdin, Dr. Chris Emdin just had a piece in the Atlantic really talking about, what do we learn from this moment of folks really reckoning or at least being a little bit more aware or cognizant of racism, right? And all the things that we've seen that happen in this COVID-19 era. So that's that piece. We were talking earlier before about, Bell Hooks and, me reading her book about engaged pedagogy and things of that nature. What she's always called out is that in these academic places, in these educational institutions, usually the curriculum, usually the teaching, the pedagogy, everything perpetuates and upholds white supremacy, patriarchy, and sexism.
Yeah.
And then also you have classism too because of capitalistic society. So you think about all these pieces, right? This is what happens when we have people who are a part of that establishment or a part of that demographic that wins if these things are hegemonic culture, dominant culture in society, who are pushing back against anything that's counter to that because they see it as a threat to their well-being and who they are.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we know these are things that are happening to the point where it's like, it doesn't matter what's happening on the streets because if students go back to school, it's happening inside the classroom. It's baked into the curriculum. So here you are trying to add something that's going to interrupt and disrupt that. And it's a problem. Again, the question is why? Why?
Yeah. And it's so flipping clear. When I saw that, I was like, wow, how do you feel comfortable being that bold and aggressive out in public? You have an elected office. You're not speaking from your club. You have an elected office and you feel comfortable saying this is what your constituents want you to push forward. I think about that often too. Like oftentimes these senators and Congress people, it's like I love when AOC is like, I'm talking about my people. This is what they need. Like we need more leadership like that. Not this is what I think is best. Yes, we put these folks in place to make decisions for us. So we can't all be there and vote for everything that comes up every day. But do you really believe this is what all of your constituents want and will benefit from? Like it's clear what Homeboy's perspective and position is. Oh, it's incredible to watch. The boldness of it all. And it is the modern day version of the lost cause. Modern day version of it. I was touched this morning. This is Sunday, the 26th. We lost John Lewis last week, and they've been having ceremonies for him. And this morning I watched, they marched his body across the Emmett Pettus Bridge. Let's talk about who it's named for one. That's a whole moment. Do you know who Emmett Pettus was?
I've heard a little bit about it.
Yeah, he was a grand wizard in the KKK, Confederate soldier. Like, and that bridge is named for him. That's another long story. But they marched his body across, in a horse-drawn carriage.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped at a few spots. They stopped at Turnaround Tuesday, where they kneeled and prayed and went back. They stopped at the halfway point. They got to the bottom and stopped. And the magic was they had state troopers there saluting. Like, think about the irony of that, considering what the state troopers did to him back in that day, when they were just marching for people's rights to vote, which was a national law, but Mississippi and various other states had shot it down and pushed back on it. Like, think about what we're seeing here.
And you just give me this imagery and just me thinking about all this, right? I want someone to ask and really continue to press and ask probing questions to that person who stands up and salutes the flag and says, I'm a patriot. I want to know what they're patriotic about. And I know there's a lot of things to be patriotic about, but I want to know, are they skipping over all that history? Like, are they forgetting, or do they just not know that these things actually happen because they have this other sense of reality because they didn't have to know what that was because it didn't involve them in the negative. But you know, this whole you're not a patriot or you're not patriotic. What's patriotic about that? I just need to know. I just really need to. The folks who are like, why can't I fly my Confederate flag? What's patriotic about that? Like, so many questions that seem to be obvious, you know, but it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah. So you ready for a conversation switch question?
Yes.
And I appreciate all this conversation. It's very important to explore that. And that question of what is patriotic, you know, people getting caught up in the Confederacy, that was 5 years. And the Confederate flag that we celebrate now was not the Confederate flag.
Talk about it.
You know, that was something done later.
Talk about it.
That was something put up later. The Confederate flag is actually the Atlanta, Georgia's flag Atlanta's flag right now. Sorry, Georgia's flag right now. A different version of it. I ain't going into too much history.
Yeah.
But I wanted to switch conversation. I appreciate this. And, you know, we have to think about our health and our joy and how we move forward. And we're very aware of what we put into our bodies in terms of consumption of food and nutrients and ways of growing and being stronger so we can be present and actually show up and do this work. So I had a question for you on that, in that realm of nutrition value. I wanted to know, what's your preferred way of preparing and serving Kool-Aid? Serious question. It's a pretty serious question, man.
Yo.
It's going to affect our relationship when I hear what you do and say. I'm just saying.
Yo, first and foremost, I think back in the day, it was a sign that you made it when you were able to buy the container of Kool-Aid as opposed to the packets of Kool-Aid. It's like before you had to get like your Kool-Aid sample pack or your Kool-Aid starter kit, and it's like, damn, I need a lot of sugar because this flavor is not really going to hold because I only got like about a few packets and it's not really going to work. But once you get that container to the point, like you got the you know, those 10 containers, you know, you got that type of style, you winning. You are winning.
Ooh.
What I've heard, good brother, this is what I've heard. This is what I have heard in my journey. If you fix and prepare your Kool-Aid with warm water, not cold, which means you're gonna have to wait for it or you're gonna have to put it over ice. But if you fix your Kool-Aid with warm water, it's going to absorb and, you know, do what it do in the little you know, jug mixture. You know, percolate, you know, little Kool-Aid molecules swimming and stuff, you know. Then you could add some sugar if you want to. But again, you need to use the sugar if you can't afford, because the sugar is cheaper than the Kool-Aid. Usually, if you get the Kool-Aid pack, you know, sugar's a little bit cheaper, especially if it's the off-brand. You don't need the Domino and all that other stuff, you know.
Flavor ice. Never as good. It was never as good.
It's not gonna be as good.
Oh.
So that's what I did. You take the Kool-Aid, and then the other piece is this. If you really want to get exotic, you don't just stick to one flavor, brother. You mix flavors. So you get the blue raspberry and you mix it with the lemon.
Yeah.
Or you get the fruit punch and you mix it with the blue. There's levels to this, right? And if you need to make it stretch, you get the grape Kool-Aid, add a little lemonade in it. There's ways to make it work, but that's the approach. And if you really want to get funky, you can put a little Kool-Aid in the ice tray, freeze them bad boys. Now you got a little bit of Kool-Aid ice, or make a little ice and pop it, you know. Listen, you taking me back, brother. You taking me back. You taking me back.
Yeah, you're fancy. That blueberry and lemonade. Wow.
Listen.
For me, you know, I can't. As I said that, I realized I haven't made Kool-Aid, and I can't think of the last time I made Kool-Aid. Like I think, like when I got out of college and moved to the city, I was like, "Oh, I'll make some Kool-Aid," you know. But for me, nothing beats grape with fresh lemons. Lisa, my grandmother told me how to roll lemons so they're real soft. and then you cut them and squeeze, like you squeeze all, and then you drop them in. But you gotta take them out because they'll go sour.
Mm,
Don't put them in the refrigerator just for that first serving.
absolutely.
Take lemons out. Oh my God, great! That was my thing. Grape Kool-Aid with lemon. Oof.
Ooh.
And then fruit punch with too much sugar. Ooh. Like it hurt your teeth, but it was.
Yes.
I
Yes.
haven't. It's kind of thing where I'm not sure I'll ever make another Kool-Aid because I don't want to have that like mature palate moment. I'm like, oh, this is horrible, you know. I want to remember and think of Kool-Aid as being like delicious and perfect, you know.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. And I think so. When I was in boarding school, predominantly white boarding school in Hightstown, New Jersey, right? And I'm like, my roommate has a fridge. I don't own a fridge. My roommate had one. Shout out to the homie, the white boy. My roommate, he had a fridge. His parents came with the stacked, big pouch Capri Suns, all that other stuff. Appreciate them. Held me down. So I'm like, all right, I need to get some stuff for myself. So, take a little trip to Target. That's when they had the, I can't remember what they called. What they called Kool-Aid Burst or something, or Squirts. It was something. I can't remember the name for it. Yeah, but the joint, the twist top off. Yo, I was a king. I was balling. Let me get some allowance. What? Let me get some allowance. Let me catch some joints on sale. I'm going on my book bag. I'm riding the bike, borrowing the bike, going out there, going to Target, getting my Kool-Aid, putting in. Now you got Capri Sun big pouch. Don't touch the Kool-Aid, bro. Don't touch the Kool-Aid. You got big pouches. So that's when I knew I made it, man.
Wow, those are the vouchers. I can honestly say my family never got to the point of buying the Kool-Aid thing, the tank bottle.
Oh yeah?
We were packs.
Mm-hmm.
The packs was 10 cents. They went to 25 cents. How much those packs cost now?
I don't know. That's a good question. I can't remember last time I had Kool-Aid, brother. I had Kool-Aid, I want to say I had Kool-Aid Ices. I don't know what you call them in Philly. We call them Ices in New York.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Kool-Aid Ices. I had those. But I can't remember last time I actually had a cup of Kool-Aid, man.
Well, here's another Kool-Aid extravaganza you may relate to because you had sisters.
Yep.
What am I talking about?
You talking about dyeing hair.
Exactly.
Yes. You talking about dyeing hair. 100%. Yes. As a matter of fact, some young lady in college also dyed her hair with red Kool-Aid. I'm like, what are you doing right now? You just randomly wake up talking about you want to dye your hair. You good? You all right? You want to talk about it?
I want to know who first figured that out. Who was like, made some Kool-Aid and was like, oh. or red.
It's that red 40.
Exactly. It's like, oh, what happens if I put this in my hair?
Keep it in the salon.
Exactly. 10 cents, 25 cents. Mix it in. Oh my gosh. I remember the first time I heard about that, like it was some girl on our block in North Philly that dyed her hair with Kool-Aid. And she was chilling. It was like fruit punch red.
Mm.
I remember being very distinct with not liking cherry and liking fruit punch.
Mm.
Like it was a little, not the hair dye, but for the Kool-Aid itself.
I hear you.
We always had a pitcher of Kool-Aid in the refrigerator. It's amazing.
My goodness, like the things that like, it's a rite of passage, brother.
Yeah, it is. Here's one, and you may not have this because I'm a little older than you. So I had the grandmother that still had the fridge from because she went from icebox
Mm-hmm.
fridge. And this was the days before fridges did that. They didn't defrost on their own.
Okay.
Yo, this is, somebody out there is going to know this. You may not know this. I used to get my cup and scrape the frost off the top of it. And get like that, like your cup be like this full of frost, and then you pour liquid on top of it. Oh. That was the move. I remember growing up and like, this fridge ain't got no frost on it. What do you mean auto defrost? That was the move. My grandma loved me because she didn't have to defrost her fridge because I was so busy in there scraping off the ice from the top. Yeah, it's
See, and if I'm not mistaken, when I was younger, because I used to always experiment with stuff.
mhm,
You know, it's only boy, youngest of three. You know, I always get my hands messed up and
mhm,
doing
mhm.
stuff. If you mix like ginger ale with Kool-Aid,
Oh, forget about
Kool-Aid soda,
it.
come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Come
Ah!
on, bruh.
Ginger ale and Seven Up were like the magic
You can
juice.
do anything with
You
them.
can do anything. You ever have a Seven Up cake?
Yes. Yes.
It's out of the oven and all the sugar from the Seven Up has crystallized on the cake. Nicole Mason's mother would make a 7 Up cake, and I'd be like, do I smell 7 Up cake? Miss Mason, come over and say hi to Nicole. Did you make a cake? God, that cake was so good.
Mm,
Ooh, no
mm,
wonder our people had the sugar.
mm.
No wonder our people had the sugar.
Listen, listen. And a
Yeah.
lot of that too, if you really want to get into it, is by design.
Oh, completely. The little sugar pack, the Kool-Aid pack that was impulse item walking out. The bodega had it, the market had it, always had those little like stunts, and it was I don't know. I was like, who was because everybody grabs a pack or two on the way out. So for your like court, were y'all 1 pack or 2 packs?
If you
Yeah.
had sugar in hand, 1 pack.
Okay.
If you didn't have much sugar, 2 pack.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Tupac. 2 pack.
2 packs, not for you. or aunt. We always did 2 packs.
Always.
Oh, always 2 packs.
I respect that. I respect that. Well, since you asked about Kool-Aid, good brother, this is a moment where, you know, I guess we'll call it the privilege check. So, growing up, I don't know if it was like popular when you were growing up, but for me, it's popular. And I was like, damn, how come I can't have this? Lunchables, brother.
Oh, forget about it.
Did you get your hands on Lunchables?
No, I ain't no Lunchables. No. I was like, what's that? Which everything is in one little thing. I'm cool. You know what I thought my Lunchable was? Remember those like cheese and crackers with a little orange red stick? I was like, I got Lunchables too. Like, nah, Dre, that's not Lunchable. I was like, what? It's cheese and the crackers. It's not Lunchable? Oh man.
Yo,
I had
yo,
no finesse. I had no finesse. I had no finesse.
I'm with you. I ain't had no Lunchables. I bought Lunchables for the first time. I feel like I was in college. Because in college, we had, you know, you have a point system. Like if you have a meal plan, get your big red bucks or whatever bucks you have wherever you are. So you have big red bucks. That's the first time I bought my own Lunchables. I'm like, I'm fly, I'm fresh, got my own Lunchables, you know what I mean? Do I want to get the pizza? Do I want to get the turkey? Do I want to get the ham and cheese? I'll buy you a pack. What you want? Like,
Right, shut up. I don't think I've ever had my own Lunchable. I don't
brother,
think
we need to get some Lunchables, put it on one of those plates, you know, with the little metal tin on top.
right, exactly.
Get you that, brother.
A sodium filled snack.
Get you your Lunchable flowers, right?
Lunchables. Yeah, I did not know. We ain't had no Lunchables.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Were you I'm trying to figure out if this am I just too old? So you know pickles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you like in the store with those big tongs and that barrel, or did you have the individual plastic bag?
Tongs at the barrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Tongs at the barrel. And there was some folks who was like, they wasn't really doing the tongs at the barrel. They had like pickles in a jar at the counter
Oh, yeah.
for you. But oh yeah. Yeah, brother.
I remember the first time I saw one in a little bag, and I was like, "Look at this little individual plastic wrap bag." That was like college.
Mm.
Please, my grandma said, my grandma said, "Give me a pickle."
Mm.
Came to the store, and it's floating in like the garlic and the dill in the jar, and it smells so good.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah. That's
So I know in Philly y'all do water ice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had the little we would get snow cones, or the push carts. We get a little icy, and it's like you get one for 50 cents, and if you get the big joints, $1. You can get 2 flavors, up to 2 flavors. So I used to get coconut mixed with mango. I used to get rainbow mixed with like lemon lime. Oh my goodness.
But
Oh,
let's for a moment celebrate the populace of that idea. Because when you think about it, all they had was a big old block of ice and something to scrape it, and God knows what that syrup was. But it was good. It was so good. That's no okay. So you just made a full connection. So that scrapey ice, that's the same stuff I'm talking about grandma did. No lie. And I was making. I didn't know I was mad. I was an adventure. I didn't even know it. I was making my own. So I would get that. I mean, I'm telling you, it would be like full to here, and then I pour in the Kool-Aid. It's probably a couple of teaspoons of Kool-Aid because it was all like icy, and I would just get it and suck on it because it would melt down.
You know, you got me thinking, brother, right? What would Kool-Aid taste like with a little brown juice? You got me thinking, brother.
Well,
that might be an episode.
What are you drinking? Hold it up. Come on. What do you mean? What it would taste like?
It'll just be a different color. You're right. You're right. You're right.
That's apple. I remember not liking apple Kool-Aid though. There were some Kool-Aids that just weren't right.
Remember now they had a mystery Kool-Aid.
Yes.
When you wouldn't know what it was. It changed color. Powder's different. And just change. Like I'm like, what kind of witchcraft? How they do that?
Whoa. They deserve all the props. They deserve all the props. Who knows what that? I mean, what is that stuff? I remember being a little kid. I think it was amazing that this little bit of little teeny tiny bit of power would change a whole big. It tastes like the best thing in the world. And then you put all that sugar in. I remember having the job of I would stir until all the crystals disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about the hot water, the warm water. Because the warm water makes sense. It makes sugar dissolve.
Dissolve, baby. Make it dissolve.
Yeah, and the worst was you pour it in and it just it lays on top. You got to push it down.
Love it.
But I'm sure some bar somewhere has a drink that's like Red Bull, vodka, and Kool-Aid.
I'm sure. I'm
sure.
sure.
I bet it's in Atlanta.
Listen, if it's not Atlanta, it's someplace down south. You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Oh goodness, I feel like we need to cheers and toast to Kool-Aid.
I think that may be the good out. Because ain't nothing like it. Because you got Kool-Aid. Talking about something. I wonder what bourbon and Kool-Aid would taste like.
And just to let the people know, because I just want them to know what goes on behind the scenes. I had less than this in my glass, but off screen with one hand, I poured a little bit because I don't want people to think that you just be, you just be going through glasses, brother. I want people to know that I poured a little more Kool-Aid in my cup.
That's the power of that juicy drink.
Yes, sir.
To the Kool-Aid.
To the Kool-Aid for all the cool people who drank the Kool-Aid.
Exactly. I want to say, oh yeah, but I'm afraid he might come through the Seriously.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Cheers, brother.
Kool-Aid, baby. That's good. Good. Another good, great, amazing conversation.
Beautiful.
Incredible.
So many levels, so many layers.
Yeah, completely. We need to do that. We need to do this.
Yes, sir.
It's our responsibility and our privilege.
Yes, sir. Well, Brown Juice Barbershop.
Another one for the books.
Another one for the books. So till next time.
Yes. Love your biscuits.
Love your biscuits. Eat the biscuits too. In moderation, but everything in moderation, including moderation, Exactly. But do what you do. Get yourself some Kool-Aid, and some Lunchables if you can.
Oh, goodness. Lunchables and biscuits.
Ooh. Sounds good to me.
Pass out.
Sound good to me. Well, make it happen, Captain.
All right, brother man. Good
Peace.
stuff.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy.
Later.